So welcome back, guys, to another episode of Play and Tell, a series where I like to talk about games I've been playing, leave little short impressions, mini reviews, and most importantly, when you walk away, you have something new to play. So my number 2 game of 2023 was Final Fantasy 16, a very divisive game, a game that, some folks really enjoyed and some folks really didn't like, but I'll get into that. One of the things I was really excited about during the Video Game Awards show was the announcement of some expansions for Final Fantasy 16, and they were like, here's one coming out right now, it's live. You best believe I went on the Play Store and just had to download. Echoes of the Fallen is the first of 2 promised expansions for Final Fantasy 16, and this additional adventure serves as a delightful reminder of the impressive and entertaining combat featured in Final Fantasy 16. With a duration of 3 to 4 hours, Echoes of the Fallen doesn't aspire to be a timeless RPG expansion, but guides players through a linear journey in a brand new dungeon that seamlessly integrates into the main game's narrative. Positioned just before the conclusion of Clive's tale, this DLC sheds light on the lost civilization of the Fallen. While the DLC may be somewhat light on narrative aside from providing additional context about the Fallen, it really compensates with some great fights and boss battles. The action remains as enjoyable as ever, and throughout the combat system to the base game, players can gain access to intriguing new accessories that will inspire a slightly different approach, along with little Easter eggs like a brand new sword that looks very familiar. Now, there are some good and bad aspects to this expansion with Final Fantasy 16. Getting in first with the good, I feel like this was an appetizer. It was a short adventure, but I feel like the lead up, and I'm trying not to spoil too much for folks who haven't played Final Fantasy 16 yet, but the little nuances they have towards the next expansion, this is going to be game changing in my opinion. I did like the little Easter eggs, like being able to change your outfits, and I really like the 8-bit kind of rendition of some Final Fantasy 16 music that you can play in the hideaway. But for those who were big fans of Final Fantasy 16, this is a nice, refreshing appetizer towards that adventure, which I have to get into what's the bad when it comes to this. And that is, if you weren't a fan of Final Fantasy 16, this game is not going to change your mind. As a matter of fact, this DLC kind of made me remember some of the things I didn't like about Final Fantasy 16. I'm not a fan of the side quests. I feel like they were very fetch questy, mundane, kind of same old thing over and over again. And sadly, in order to unlock the DLC, other than purchasing it to get it all started, a number of side quests that you need to do. If you're one of those kind of folks that did all the side quests, congratulations, you can go to the hideaway, go to merchant, and start right then and there. But no, overall, it was nice going back to the world of Final Fantasy 16. Other than just, replaying the game or trying to get all the things that you left behind. But I am really excited. I'm really excited for the next expansion.
Pulseman. Before Game Freak was making an empire with Pokemon with Nintendo, they created this truly hidden gem on the Genesis. In the future of 1999, the world is consumed by a network of ultra computers, and you can play as a half-human, half-computer, being known as Pulseman. The origins of his creation is pretty self-explanatory. But most importantly, the gameplay is very similar in ways to Mega Man, but with a twist. Pulseman can dematerialize in stages, giving him a more unique style of platforming. The sprites of this game are really some of the best I've seen on the Genesis, and sadly, it was only released in America on the Sega channel, which is no longer in service, and also the Wii Virtual Console, which sadly now is no longer in service. But fear not, they do make reproduction cards, and the power of emulation, you should definitely check this game out.
Super Mario 3 Mix is a hack that takes one of the best Mario games ever made and adds a whole new twist. First off, you can play as Mario, Luigi, or Toad, which is pretty cool and a nice homage to Super Mario Bros. 2, and the game also features some remix levels of the Super Mario series, as well as all new levels and a whole new world map. The remix music is a good touch, and the start points to unlock secret levels and alternate ways to complete stages is a good little touch to make this hack feel like a very legit Mario experience. They even have their own certain kind of power-ups they added to this, like they took out the frog suit and replaced it with a penguin suit. And hey, I think that's pretty cool. Now, I've been doing YouTube now for almost 12 years. In just a couple of months, I'll have my 12th year anniversary, and one of the things I'm really happy that I can say when it comes to doing this channel, because it's been mainly always focused on video games, modern and retro. But when it comes to retro, one of the things I love about retro gaming is being able to find those games that I missed out on, that feel like brand new games looking through the eyes of gaming history. And the next game I want to talk about has that all over it, and that is The Legend of Valkyrie. Valkyrie no Densetsu emerged as an action-adventure role-playing game in the arcades in 1989. Developed and published by Namco in Japan, it was served as a sequel to the 1986 Famicom game Valkyrie no Boken. This installment follows the journey of warrior maiden Valkyrie and her lizard companion Kunio Xander. Their quest involves dropping a item known as the Golden Seed into the Northern Fountain to bring back the dying crops in Xanderland. I had no idea this game existed. I just found it randomly, and I'm like, I'm going to play it, and it's right up my alley. It's a shame that it never came out to the States, because this is something I definitely would have spent my quarters on. And it's a testament of what the 80s and 90s arcade scene was all about. You know, now we can go on videos like Digital Foundry and, know the technology of what makes the video game click. But back then, you wanted to see what the next level technology was. Well, you just had to go to your local gas station. When I found out this game was made in 1989, I was thinking, wow, this is a very ambitious game. The parallax scrolling and just the depth in the pixel art is just, it's amazing. I remember there was some stages that you were jumping from different cliff and platforms, and you could see the land below you. I mean, it had the layers and everything. And I've been really getting into this aesthetic of finding games that have light RPG elements. A great example would be like Kadash or the Dungeons and Dragon beat 'em ups from Capcom. And that's what I like about Legend of Valkyrie, is it does kind of have that RPG aesthetic, because you're going through the stages, you're battling monsters, you're killing, fiends and getting the loot, and then you help out an NPC to get a power-up, or you just use the loot and buy equipment and up your ante with different power-ups. Legend of Valkyrie is definitely a hybrid game. It's more of a top-down shooter than anything else. It made me think of games like Pocky and Rocky or Mercs or even Elemental Master. And it does have some pretty challenging platforms, because again, with the depth and the way everything looks, you have to look at your shadow. That's the best thing I can tell you, is look at your shadow before you jump to the other side. I think the only thing I didn't like about the game, because I did do a live stream and I was playing all the way through, I made it to level 7. There's 8 levels altogether. When you start getting into the later levels, the enemies become sponges. It takes so many shots to kill them, and there's so many of them, and they hold grudges. They will follow you past the board of the level. A lot of these games, if you were fighting something, as long as you went away from the enemy, in that point of view, the enemy just wouldn't bother you anymore. It would no longer be aggro. But these guys, they'd be chase me down all the way from the other side of the level. And I can't stress enough, if you want to play Legend of Valkyrie, you can get it on Arcade Archives right now, but keep in mind, it was only released in Japan, so it's still going to be in Japanese. If you want to play a almost arcade perfect port with complete English translation, I would recommend Namco Volume 5 on the PlayStation 1. But anyway, guys, those are some games I've been playing recently. And if you want to see some future episodes in real time, I do live stream once a week on this channel. Be sure to join me, Game Night with Xander Skullion. This is a better time more than ever to not only subscribe, but make sure you hit that bell so you're notified whenever I'm going live. But what have you guys been playing recently? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear some of your recommendations, and what games are you looking forward to? I cannot stress enough that I am so excited to be playing World of Horror. I just ordered a physical edition of it, and I saw this on a past episode of Happy Console Gamer, and I found out my friend Mikey has been playing it on Steam since the early access. It's a point-and-click roguelike adventure graphic novel set in this horror Japanese world. It looks really, really cool. And of course, in just a couple of days, we're going to have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Play the demo, absolutely love it, and I cannot wait to talk about it in a future episode. As always, guys, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and as always, Happy gaming.